Hi, Jessica. I'm so glad you're here. And yeah, really excited to dive in a little bit to your story and all the amazing things that have happened for you in such a short period of time. I think it just brings people so much hope to hear what can shift in such just in a number of weeks. It's pretty incredible. So do you want to start by telling a little bit about who you are and why you decided to join the program?
Yeah, so I'm Jessica Vong, and Leah is my sister-in-law. and I had a pretty wild, traumatic year, and Leah has really stuck by me, and I appreciate that. And kind of came to a head August 23rd. My took my kindergartner to school, and I was so sick. And I had a lot of abdominal pain, and I had been having a lot of abdominal pain and bathroom pain, and it was awful. And I went to the ER. First, I went to a regular clinic, and then they turned me away and said, "You actually need to go to the ER." And so I did, and I had a CAT scan and came back with diverticulitis. And it was an acute case, which is a good thing, but it was definitely a wake up call. I kind of knew I needed to make some changes. My weight had really gone up, and I knew that I wasn't as healthy as I could be or should be. And this was like a huge wake up call. And I was in the ER, and I called you or I texted you, and I was like, so I'm in the ER and I need a change.
Yeah.
So, and I'm so thankful you were there.
Oh my gosh, of course. And like in that moment, I just remember you saying that too, like, I need a change. And I knew how serious you were, that like, this is happening and I'm going to get out of this and I'm not going to do it again. Like,
Yep.
I'm never going to go back to that.
Right.
So
Never again has been
never
the whole
again.
thing.
That's
Never
right.
again.
And
Right.
I so believe you, like, you have done so much between then and now to just like take things into your hands and really take control. Like, it's incredible to have witnessed that. So I really am honored that you reached out to me, and that that you were willing to kind of trust me through this process, because I know there are a lot of like unknowns as far as what was going on in your body and
Well, I knew
how
I
to deal with
couldn't
it.
feel any worse than I already did. So it was like, I can't lose anything.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So,
So do you want to talk a little bit about where you are now, like what's shifted for you and what feels different than that day that you realized all of this has kind of come to a head? And
yeah, I was under a great deal of stress. As you know, my brother had passed away. He actually he killed himself in January, and that was awful. And then a week later, my dad went into hospice and with a neurology issue that he's still dealing with. And then we moved. A month later, we had bought a house in another state, so we had to pack up and move and leave my family behind in this like precarious, we didn't know what the future held. And so moving, and then like, how do you socialize, and then all these things, and we're like also surrounded by breweries. So I was depressed, I was overweight, and I was drinking a lot. And I don't think my story is unique in any way. I think a lot of people with COVID and being home, or a lot of people moved. You moved.
I know, I
And
moved and all
you
that
gotta
too.
like,
It's a lot.
grease the wheels of like socializing. And so I think, yeah, I mean, anyway, my drinking and my eating, and I was just doing more of it. I wouldn't say that I had a problem. I wasn't relying on it or anything like that. It was just too much
Right.
for my 5'2" frame. So, when you're in the hospital, and you get your cat, they get, they do the CAT scan and the doctor comes, okay, you have acute diverticulitis. They kind of don't really tell you like what causes it or how to prevent that or anything. So you're sitting in the ER, and what else do you do besides text your sister-in-law and say, oh my God, I need help? I started looking it up and just researching very rapidly, like what causes it.
Right.
It's alcohol and it's food and it's all different kinds of food. And I'm realizing, yeah, so what's shifted for me is just that awakening. So initially that awakening and that realization that things are they're just out of control and I need to rein it in. And so that was the first thing. Okay, I got to rein it in. The second thing was, well, how do I even do that? And that's where you came in, because I'm like, I know I have to, but I don't even know how that even works. So
Where do I begin?
where do I even
I think
begin?
that's
Right.
so common too. People don't know
Mhm.
where to start. They're like, I know I need to do something to change my food. I know I need to
Mhm.
change some things in my lifestyle, but
Yeah.
how do I even begin this process? Like, it feels
Yep.
overwhelming, and what's going to
Totally.
actually work and be effective too?
Yep.
Because
Yep.
there's lots you can do that won't get to the underlying causes of what's going on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. And so, through working with you, I mean, no alcohol. Alcohol is one of the worst things to put in your body with diverticulosis because it upsets those pockets. And then the sugars in alcohol, so just sugar in general. I mean, everybody knows, have low sugar, but there's just sugar in everything. And so, yeah.
What's
And
coming into my body, like, that I'm not
mhm,
even aware of, right? Like,
yeah,
through the different ingredients on different foods or through a
keeping the food
or,
journal has been
yes,
really helpful. And like,
awesome.
dang, I mean, in the beginning, I can even see where I'm like, oh, I thought that was healthy, but it's probably not very healthy for me. So, anyway, alcohol, sugar. I don't have a gluten allergy, but I do notice that I have an intolerance.
Yeah.
It doesn't sit well with me and it's not serving me. And then same with dairy. And those have been some really big shifts for me. And like, I think
Yeah.
that term, finding things that serve me, has
Mm,
been very like, that's kind of on a loop in my mind of
yes.
like, does this actually serve me? No, I probably shouldn't be having this right
Yes.
now.
I
And
love
there
that
are,
you say that.
yeah, yeah. And I
The
don't
most
want to like
important piece.
demonize foods because I mean, hello, cheese pizza is delicious, but
Yeah.
but does it serve me?
Yeah.
It does not. So
Right.
yes,
Yeah.
those have been the big shifts for me.
Yeah, and that's
Mhm.
incredible. I mean, there's so much in what you just said too. First of all, the awareness and the acknowledgement that like something has to shift, and here I
Mhm.
am in this situation. This perfect storm has been created in my body from,
Yeah.
a variety of things. Like, I think you are really demonstrating too, and kind of referencing how stress and trauma and those kind of things. Like, you've had a very traumatic year. There's been a lot that's happened in your family, and that's a lot to go through. So, just kind of having compassion and grace with yourself around that, but also
That's been
like,
huge too.
yeah,
Compassion
right? Like,
for
because
self.
this series of events happens, and this little perfect storm is created, and we get we end up in this situation that's not ideal. But what I realize about you, and what I really want to emphasize, is that like, when you realized you needed to turn it around, like, you were just 100% on board and so receptive to trying some new things, and just like, I know we know each other already, but so trusting, and just like, I'm going to do what it takes. Like, let's
Yeah.
let's figure out what's right for me, because that's where I come in, is like, which pieces are going to serve you, which pieces are right for you, how does this feel to you in your life, and that piece around checking in. And it's like, you started working with your food like the day of, you were
Yes.
like, okay, I am in the ER, like, things, I
Yeah.
can't I can't just go eat some mac and cheese
Nope.
or drink a beer today or next
Right.
week, like, I have to change this. And then on top of that, like, right away you were open to like, how do I check in with my body, how do I figure out what serves me, like, what feels right.
Yep.
And like, you were just 100% on board. So I mean, it's so
I'm
fun.
still on
It's so
board. I'm
fun.
still
You're
on the
still
Leah
on
train.
board.
toot toot.
Yes, it's
But
amazing, you know, because like that's how shift happens. It's that commitment to like, I no longer want to be in this place. So I just want to honor
yes,
you for that. And like,
thank you.
oh my gosh, like it's not easy to do what you have done and to turn things around in that way. But look
I
at
think
the
when you're so
value and the
desperate
benefit.
and you just know, you're like, anything is going to be better than where I'm at. So that is where I was at, and I still am. Like, this is diverticulosis stays forever. So it is something I will always have to be aware of and maintain and check in with myself. And so I thank you for showing and like getting that loop in my brain. Like,
Yeah.
does this serve me? No. And like saying no, I think that's another huge thing. Like, I was raised in a household of you finish everything on your plate,
Mhm.
and don't ask questions, and you just, that is, I'm not going to say my parents were jerks. It's just how I was raised. They were wonderful. They did the best they could, obviously. But
Right.
I mean, that was that old school way. And that's carried through my adult life. And so it's been a huge shift for me to be like, no, I'm not having all the things.
Right. I'm going to pick and choose what works for me and
Mhm.
what's worth it. You talked a little bit about the empowerment that you feel. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that? Like how that shift around just kind of feeling in control and being able to choose things that serve you. What does that feel like? Or any
I
thoughts,
mean,
however that
yeah. So I
resonates
have
for you.
felt for the first time in my life saying no. I'm not going to say like I give into peer pressure, but I think we all incidentally do. I don't think anyone's ever been like, do it because everybody's doing it. That's not, but we're like in a social situation,
Right.
and there are things there because when you think about, there's going to be hot wings, and there's going to be, in a social situation, there's going to be food, and there's probably beer or, liquor. And I think just culturally, we are food and beverage based. All of our
Yeah.
socializing has to do with, eating and drinking. And so I'm a really social person, and that so saying no, I'm not drinking that right now, or I'm not doing that right now. Um, it was a little scary at first, because like I've never said no.
Right.
And so I am empowered to be like,
Amazing.
and then we're on a beer bowling league. So that beer everywhere.
Right. Right.
And
But you've been
but
doing it. You've
I'm like,
been
nope,
in these
not
situations and you're like, that doesn't work for me right now. I'm actually
right.
going to have a better time, or this is going to
Yes.
serve me more long term. I'm going to feel better tomorrow and the next day and
Bingo.
taking care of my
Mm-hmm.
body. And, I
Yeah.
think when people see that, they really like it can be kind of a mixed bag, I guess. But I think
Yeah.
when people see that, it really like can be empowering to them, or, it's very admirable for someone to be able to say, this isn't right for me. And like there can
Mm-hmm.
also be feelings of like, why aren't you participating? Like people don't
Right.
understand, So I mean, it takes a lot, but like just seeing that you're able to do that for yourself, like
Yeah.
it's incredible. And I think it's harder than like even just putting it into words right now. Like it's harder to do that in a variety of situations, but the value and the benefit and the confidence, like I don't know if you felt a switch with that at all, but the
I
confidence
have.
comes from like, I'm taking care of myself and I
Yeah.
can show up more fully for everyone else because of that.
Bingo. And that is huge. Showing up fully for my kids, because I am a stay-at-home mom right now. And in this season of my life, I do need to show up. I have to be. It is very demanding. It is 24/7 on call, right?
So, do you want to tell a little bit about? I know there's been so many shifts in your life. Do you want to talk a little bit about how these changes and this new awareness has impacted your life, and maybe some specifics around the things that have changed for you?
Yes.
There's a
So,
lot.
yes,
So,
really big changes. So part of the trauma of the past year was I also had some postpartum depression that kind of carried over too. So add that all together, and that finally having the empowerment to say no and things like that, huge shift. But along with now saying no is that I'm no longer relying on food and alcohol to like make me happy, or when I'm sad, I feel, I don't have to do that. So I'm no longer on Zoloft, which is great. I've been off that for a while, but like I don't feel like I need to go back to it.
Yeah.
So that's been huge. Also, stool softeners and things like that. I'm no longer needing to rely on those things because I can get the nourishment that I need and the fiber I need from the foods that I'm eating. So I am no longer, and actually stool softeners and things like that are not good for diverticulosis. So I had this thing and I thought I was helping myself by taking stool softeners when really it was making it worse. So it's, and laxatives and things like that are actually very triggering for the diverticulosis. So, and then I'm also
to make because I think so many people also take things like antacids and stuff like
yes.
that. They may be having low stomach acid already.
Right.
So
Right.
thank you for pointing that out, that it like fed into the problem instead of making it better.
Right. Because there's so many I'll just go to the drugstore and I'll just pick this up and it'll be all fine. When really it's just the food that I am or are not eating. So I wasn't eating enough greens and fiber, and we think we eat pretty healthy in this house. And then when it came down to it and I had this issue, it was like, no. So it was a reality check.
Look.
It was a reality check of like, actually, I'm not. We're not. And that was a hard pill to swallow because we do think that we eat pretty healthy. And I would say that we eat healthier than most people that we know.
Yeah.
And even then, we still had to clean it up. So there was still work to be done. So that was that was like, that was a little bit of a,
yeah,
kind of hurt our pride a little bit. And I say because my husband has kind of like come around, Wah has sort of kind of come around to these things too. So that's been eye-opening for all of us. And
that's
we're all
amazing.
get
so
on
you're
board.
changing the food, like this process that you went through is changing the food for your husband,
the whole family,
and then your kids too, because now there's this awareness.
Because if mama's not happy, nobody's happy,
right?
So,
and once you know these things, it's like, oh, okay, well then I could just make this choice instead of this choice, and we can splurge on that when the time's right, or if it feels
when
like
better, do better, right? So we do have to have had to make some changes there, and
that's incredible.
So I've incorporated, more fibrous foods and things like that, and more meat, which has been very interesting too. We don't eat a lot of meat. We didn't eat a lot of meat before, and we're still not eating, like, I'm not going to say like we're eating. I think when people think meat, they're like, oh, you're out eating cheeseburgers every day, or like getting a steak. No, it's not like that. It's making one chicken a week, and then we have a little in a salad, or we drink the bone broth that we make, or we make a soup with the bone broth and things like that. So instant pot.
Right. It's key. It's key. And it makes meals easier if you roast a chicken at the beginning of the week, I think, and then it's like, okay, here's my lunch. It's cooked.
Right.
I need
So it's a Monday tradition. Wah makes a chicken, and that's really fun. So
perfect. I love it. I love that it's
it's become a thing. We're making it fun.
Yeah. That's awesome. And getting creative with it. And I love that.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So you're off of over-the-counter medications. That's amazing.
Yes.
Definitely your mood has shifted, it sounds like. If you're feeling much more stable with that.
Right. Because I've had to exercise more too. And I do want to like point that out, is that I've never understood how do people have time to exercise? How do stay-at-home moms have time to exercise? Because I am so busy with all these household chores, and then like play dates and taking my kids places, and you want to like not make everything about chores. Obviously, you want to try to like have some fun. So, I mean, I just had to tough love with myself and like get my ass out of bed in the morning.
But you're doing it. You have been so
You
consistently
have to do it. And
getting up, doing your
so,
workout, starting your
yeah,
day with a routine, like
yes,
really, really rocking that part of it. So last weekend you just ran your first race as well. Do you want to talk
yes,
about the turkey
the turkey
trot?
trot. So in our town, we have it's a 2 mile or a 10K, and I chose the 2 mile because I'm still
Incredible,
new
though.
to running. And I did the 2 mile, and my goal, I think I told you, I was like, at this point, I just want to finish. I don't even know.
Yeah.
I don't know
But
how it's
you
going
were
to
ready
go.
to walk half of it if you needed
Right.
to,
I was like,
but you
fine,
didn't.
whatever. I actually ran the whole thing, and
Amazing.
I surprised myself, and my kids were there cheering me on, and that was super cool to see them toward the finish line, and that
Yeah,
was really fun. And it was a really great community
awesome.
event, and so it's making me get out of my comfort zone. And now
Right?
Law wants to do the 10K next year, so
Awesome. Oh my gosh, that's
yeah.
amazing. You guys can
So
train together and
yeah,
awesome. That's
yep.
really fun. And I love that you're saying it's making me come out of my comfort zone a little bit because I think that's what a lot of this is, right? There's a
Mhm,
lot of simplifying that's happened, but
mhm.
also it's kind of pushing yourself just a little bit. Like,
Just a
where do I
little.
want to be? And
Yeah.
if I push myself a little bit, can I get there? And like your kids now have seen you like set that goal. At least Evie will notice, she's seen
Yes.
you set that goal, train for it, and achieve
Yep.
it. Like, how powerful is that for
Right.
them to see
Right.
that,
I
really
agree.
fun.
I do. I hope she sees that, and I hope that maybe if she even doesn't realize it, that she understands that like once you put your mind to something and
Yeah.
you make up your mind, you follow through. The weight loss was not, as you know, not my it wasn't my first priority. I just never again want to feel like I felt when I went to the ER.
Yeah.
Um, and so it's been a side benefit, not my first priority. Whereas in the past, it has been my first priority, like losing weight for the wedding, or like losing weight for like a thing. And my weight has always been I've always been on the thicker side, and I've been fine with it. And I don't think I look bad but I've lost 20 pounds. And so
Incredible.
I'm almost 20 pounds. I'm not going to
That's
can't pat myself on the back.
amazing.
But
No, you can go ahead. It's all right.
also empowering, knowing how to get back on the wagon. So like obviously we just had Halloween because it's
Yeah.
November, right? So Halloween, and of course I let the kids trick or treat, and now there's candy in the house. And guess my weakness is Reese's. Um and
You're
so
not
rather,
alone.
what I've learned from this process too is rather than like, damn it, getting really mad mad at myself that I screwed up and now it's just over and I messed up, and like I am a little bit of a perfectionist. I'm a little,
Yeah. But you've been
that
working with
way.
that too, like,
And I
right?
have had to like
Letting it go a
really,
little bit.
okay, like let go of it. It's not the end of the world, and maybe I'll feel like crap later, but I will get back on track. And like you've helped me train my brain to like get back on track and get back to what feels good.
Yes.
And for me, that's intermittent fasting and smoothies and easy to digest things.
Yeah.
My body can break it down.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's incredible, and I think that's so much of what the process is about is being able to figure out that baseline so that you can come back to it when you need to. And
Yes.
like you're saying, we all get off track. We
Mm-hmm.
all get off track. We're all gonna
Yes. Yeah.
work.
Life
We're all
happens.
gonna we're all gonna, maybe slip into a habit at some point. But when you catch yourself and say, okay, but now I know what to do. Like this doesn't feel great. Now I know what
Yeah.
to do to come back and, create that 80-20 rule where 80% of the time you are eating and living in a way that's really serving you. And then you have your moments where you mindfully choose that it's worth
Yep.
a splurge. And
Yep.
I'm
Yep.
so happy for you. And I'm so like, just excited for like what's going to continue to unfold, because I know like these
Yeah.
things have spilled into other areas of your life and
Yep.
boosted your confidence, and it really like it's a transformation, right? Have any I know there's people out there who will listen to this who
Mhm.
are maybe unsure of what to do, unsure of or considering like joining the program but not sure what to do. Do you have any words of wisdom for someone who's kind of on the fence and like, oh, I want to do this, but can I? Or, there's hesitations and questions, I think, in all of our minds
Sure.
when we're thinking about a level of commitment like this. Um,
Yeah, I would tell anybody that if you're even looking into a program, you probably don't feel your best. And, it is totally customized. And so, and then like every week it was like, well, where do you want to go from here? And then, well, I don't know. And then where can I go? And you were like, well, what about menstrual cycle stuff? And then that has been,
that's an
I've
incredible
never
process,
thought,
isn't it?
because again, I was raised in a little bit of a tough household of like, you buck up and you do the things. Okay. And so I was not, it never has occurred to me to honor my menstrual cycle.
And not just
You
push through.
not just push through. I've always pushed through.
Yeah.
Take some Advil, takes whatever it takes to get through, and you take your Excedrin or whatever, and you get through. And guess what? Guess what's really terrible for diverticulosis? NSAIDs and
Right.
ibuprofen and things like
Right.
that. It really can flare
Yeah.
it up. So, I mean, I was taking 2 a day for 7 days.
You have stopped those. You've stopped
Not taking
over the
those.
counters to regulate your bowels. Like, you
Right.
do all these things. And, like, as we all know, over the counter or prescription medications have side effects and
Yes.
they have things that happen in our body. And, we're just suppressing those symptoms versus like now you've gotten to the underlying causes. And so now you
Yeah.
have to continue to do that because
Right.
you can just honor your body. And you were saying your menstrual cycle has really regulated too. Like it's going
Regulated out. We're at
process.
month
So
3 of this, like honoring my menstrual cycle, not pushing through, and kind of it, finally my period is like a normal. So I would have like spotting for a couple days and then heavy flow, and then it
yeah,
would stop, or it would just be spotting for like the whole time, which was
yeah,
a little concerning.
right.
And then but finally I have a normal period, and I did not have like the migraine thing that I usually have. And
That's amazing.
so yeah, I had
Your
a
hormonal cycle is really
right.
regulated.
So I mean, I'm not totally like, I'm not going to say I didn't take any, because I did. One day I had a slight headache, but it was enough to where I was like, I really, now I feel like I do have, so I did take, but it wasn't 7 days worth. You know what I mean? It was
Yep,
one day and I took
yep.
half the dose and I
And that's
felt
a
fine afterwards.
whole different story, right? A whole different ballgame
Oh,
than really relying on it
way
for
different.
the whole
Yep.
time. So
Yep.
awesome. I mean, all of these things, like when you put it all together and list them out, even individually, all of
Yeah.
these things are so powerful, but the gut and hormones are so tied in, and that process brings so much awareness and allows us to honor our body, which is really what it's about. And then, really bring things into a place where they're just so much simpler and working more easily, more functioning better
Yeah.
because of all of these things that you're doing to support yourself. So, okay, so before we go, do you have any last words that you want to share with those that are listening?
Yeah. So I think I've shared that I've had a really traumatic, tough year. And with COVID and everything, that's been really hard. And we all experience loss. And so I want other people to know they're not alone. And it is hard. But that you don't have to stay stuck. You don't have to be in your situation for whatever reason. If you feel like this is your due, oh, I guess it's just my turn to like, or I'm just getting older and that's that. No, you don't have to, and you can get out of that cycle. So, and also just do it.
So worth it. So
Yeah.
worth it. I love that. Thank you, Jessica.
Thank you.